record. Well, thank you all for being here this evening for our mock speech contest.
Okay.
We've got quite a lot of information to cover for you guys, and we're hoping that by holding this evening, that we are giving you every chance and opportunity and piece of information to make any of your contests flow smoothly, especially since they are going to be online this time, and not everybody is prepared for that. You might have attended something at your club, or you might have attended something last year that was online. However, you yourselves might not have gone through the whole process from beginning to end, especially our area directors and division directors. Our chief judge, Kathy Hebler, is supposed to be here this evening. I do not see her just yet, but she will be coming tonight, so she will also be able to answer questions. We're
Who is
also
the chief judge for the district?
Kathy Hebler. Hebler. If you go to the District 18 website, About Us section, you will see Kathy Hebler is listed as our chief judge for the district. She will be the chief judge for those of you that are division directors at your division contests. She will not be doing that for the area contests, mainly because there's too many. There's too many areas, and she cannot do them all. So just, I believe that she had sent everyone an email about that and told everyone that she would not be able to do that at the area level, but she will be there at the division levels and work with you division directors to be able to put upon your contests. I have put into the chat box the agenda for this evening. For those of you who don't know, my name is Kathleen Davis. I am your program quality director, as well as we have our distinguished district director, Mr. Benjamin Christ, in the house this evening. We also have our immediate past chief judge, Mervyn Bierman, who is here as well, and he can also help handle questions. If we are in the middle of something and going through a process and you don't want to interrupt the speakers, you can always put your question in the chat box, and one of us will try and get to that question as quickly as possible. To kick things off tonight, I would like to show you where all of this information is that we have gathered for you. So let's go ahead and let's see, where's my share screen button? It's here, so right in front of me. That kind of helps. All right, so here we go. This is our District 18 website that you see in front of you. Hopefully, can everybody see that? Can I get a nod? Yep, great. Under education and training, there is a drop down here. Where did it go? Oh, I'm sorry. Speech contest, right? That's what we're here to talk about. If I click on the speech contest tab, you will see a plethora of options here. Most importantly is over to the right is the contest season district announcements that apply to this Toastmaster year, 2021 to 2022. In that, the very first document here is the agenda that I put into the chat box. You can click on where it says DocX and download that agenda yourself. It's about 5 pages long. And it is a walkthrough of what we are going to be looking at tonight. In addition to that, on that agenda document, the 5th page has a list of resource links. And one of those links is to the shared drive. On this shared drive is all sorts of information that you will need in order to hold your contest. First, there is a best practices for online contests that was put out by Toastmasters International. It is a fantastic, detailed booklet on what to expect with online contests and what you can do to help make the contest better. Also, the agenda that I was just speaking about is also listed right next to it, so you can download it from there too. There is also an online speech contest statement. You must show this at the beginning of each of your contests. This is required by TI, and it releases them from any liability, essentially, for having an online contest. I recommend that whoever the area director is, division director, and or contest master, have a small set of slides put together for your contest, where this is the first statement on the first slide that's listed. Okay, so that is also there. Then there's also an Excel file called the Speech Contest Playbook Draft. Now, I love Excel, and one of the most important things when putting on a contest is being organized. Yeah, I know Ben's cringing because he absolutely hates it, and I do everything in Excel. In this Excel playbook, it basically gives you the basic tools to put together your contest. Use it, don't use it, up to you. But it gives you an idea of all the different aspects of what you need to consider by putting on your contest. You have your to-do list, you have your list of judges, timers, ballot counters. You have the people who are going to be helping with your speech contest and their information. You have the area and division information for your clubs. You have all your contestant information, as well as whether you've received the required documents from them. And then, of course, a registration list. Okay. This is also in the shared drive. Those are the four main documents you see on the top. In the shared drive, there's also all these different folders. And yes, it has everything you need for a speech contest, especially online, from the scripts, and we'll be going over those, to what you need for documentation for the different contests, the timing cards that are already downloaded from Toastmasters International for you here, the forms that the timer, the ballot counters, the judges are going to need. There's even a contest flyer, which is a template from TI, and then of course the speaker forms. And let's not forget the certificates for folks when they compete. It's always still nice, even though we're in a virtual situation, to have a certificate. Now, as an area director, you might choose to print these off and mail them to your folks. At the division level, the district is ordering the trophies, but at the area level, we are not. Right, Ben? Isn't that what we decided? Yes, that's what we budgeted for. Okay, so it'd be really nice at the area level if you could do these certificates, even if it's just online. If you have a chance like I do, I tend to print these off and I mail them to folks, because it's always nice to get that nice little Toastmaster surprise in the mail, right? Your choice, you're not required, but it is a nice thing to do. Excuse me. That is our shared drive. All of those documents are available to you. Like I said, the link to this shared drive is on the last page of the agenda under resources. Okay, let's go ahead and get this kicked off by looking at our contest in the form of 3 different phases. And you will see this on the agenda. And, oh, there you go. Thank you, Ben. On the agenda, we have 3 different phases. 1 is your planning phase. 2 is your execution phase. And then 3 is the completion phase. Although it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on your agenda. But number 1 is you're welcome, my welcome for this evening, all that good stuff. Curse my human memory. Oh, okay, Mark. I see that. I saw that in the chat box. Okay, so in the planning phase, first and foremost, what do? You need to plan a contest. Okay, so first thing you do is you download item 1171, which is the speech contest rulebook. You read it from cover to cover. Second, whether you need to print it out or not, have it on your computer, whatever works for you. I usually print it out every year and put it in a 3-ring binder, so I have everything about my contest all together. I'm still very old-fashioned. I kill trees. I'm so sorry, but I like to have my paperwork in front of me. Next is item 479, and that is the best practices for online contests, right? That is in the shared drive. Then once you read those from cover to cover, you have an idea of what you need to do. Either that or you're completely overwhelmed and going, oh my gosh, there's so much information. I don't know where to start next. We're going to walk you through that here in this planning phase. So next, you're going to select your date. And most every single area director and division director has set their dates. Hopefully the clubs have done the same thing. Then you're going to select your time frame. How much time are you going to need, depending upon how many contests you're going to have. And this year we have 3 contests. We have, of course, the international speech contest. We have table topics, and then we also have the evaluation contest. Once you select your time frame for the contest, you're then going to usually decide whether it's going to be in person or virtual, but because of our limitations and the requirements by TI, everything from the area level on up to district is all virtual this year. So that sort of takes away that guesswork there. Then you need to decide where you're going to hold your registration. Are you going to have it on Zoom? Some people like to use Eventbrite and then hold the meeting on Zoom. You can set up the registration directly on Zoom and capture any questions that you have for your contestants, your judges, and any folks that are participating. If you need help with that, please let me know, and we can do something separate to walk through how to do that. Okay. Once you finish that, you have to determine whether you need a budget or not. Now, one of the things that I had suggested at the area level was, if you can, print those certificates and mail them to the winners. So yes, that would require a very small budget. And for mailing those types of things, of course, we as a district would be more than happy to help with the cost of mailing, which is next to nothing, right? Because it's just a nice, really nice piece of paper in a larger envelope, but it could be a couple bucks. And we're more than happy to be able to reimburse that. We have budgeted for that. That is really all you're going to need for your budget, because everybody has Zoom and everybody has accounts, including the district as well as the division directors. So there's no need to purchase a separate account just for the speech contest. You can always use your division's Zoom account. You'll just need to contact your division director to get help with that. Okay. All right. Then what are we doing next? Well, we've already determined whether we're doing an area contest, a division, or even a district. All right. So we already know what level of contest we are holding. So now you need to recruit your contest chair and your chief judge. Now, a lot of people have asked me repeatedly, I'm not using any names, why we don't have lists of judges and why we don't have judges training them. That is because as long as you meet the requirements to be a judge, you're a judge. You can be a judge, okay? And to train someone to do that is not allowed because you meet the requirements. And that is set up by TI. We have done things like, thanks to Mr. Bierman, we had a Mastery Monday that discussed the difference between evaluations and judging. And right now we do have that on our YouTube channel. So if you have a chance, take a look at that. Maybe reference that to any of your judges who might be participating. Yes, Jay, you had a question.
Yes. Do we also need a Zoom master?
Yes, of course you do.
Or is that optional?
No. Well, it is optional. A lot of things
I don't
are
even know what
optional.
that is.
Okay, so a Zoom master is the person who is going to run your Zoom meeting. This person is going to help with your breakout rooms, going to help moving people between breakout rooms, can handle letting people in to the contest or not, because remember, we have specific requirements that when people are speaking, no one comes into the room, helping to make sure that people have their videos turned off, that they're muted and not disrupting anyone else. You could have several. You could have a Zoom master and a Zoom support person, whatever you want to call them. But yes, I highly recommend this. That way you, as the leader of this contest, don't have to worry about that piece. However, you want somebody who knows what they're doing and who has done it before. Okay. All right. So you've recruited your contest chair and you've recruited your chief judge. All right. Then you also need to find your additional judges, your tie-breaking judge, your timers, your ballot counters, and your sergeant at arms. Side note, the chief judge is solely responsible for the tie-breaking judge. Chief judge only knows who that person is. Nobody else does. You don't let anybody else know. You keep it in your back pocket and you keep it to yourself as a chief judge. Then you're going to take that extra step to find those Zoom operators that are going to help you, as well as possible chat monitors. Somebody else who can help the Zoom operator. And thank you, Mervin, for putting that in the chat box. If they meet the requirements of Rule 2 on eligibility from the contest book, then they can be a judge. All right. So once again, that's why we read our contest rule book from cover to cover. It will lay out specifically the eligibility for anyone competing, anyone participating as a judge, tiebreaker judge, and so on. You can also, for this particular round of contests, I shouldn't say you can, I say you need to, find someone to give the contest speech for the evaluation contest. Now, what's interesting is in the contest, in the evaluation test speaker speech, it has to be a contest-worthy speech. And this is laid out in your rule book. I'm not going to use all the specific words because I think we're all adults here, at least I hope so, and we can all read exactly what is required from that speech. Now, it does need to come from a pathways program, if you will. You know, what are you going to say? Oh no, I did that speech when I did my CC umpteen years ago. It's all gonna work out, but it is a 5 to 7 minute speech that will be given in front of the audience and all of the contestants. One of the new rules this year is if you are running for a deck position in the 2022 to 2023 year, meaning if let's say an area director wants to step up to a division director position for the next year, you cannot give the test speech. That gives you extra influence and time, if you will, over the people who are attending the contest. And that is a new rule for this year. Did I say that right, Mervin? Yes. Okay, excellent. All right. At each level of your competition, so area, division, or district, you must have received the following documents. All right. The first one is item 1182, which is notification of contest winner. If your club has had a contest or a selection, you still need to sign that form, whoever was leading the contest, and submit that to the next level. I'll give you an example. Winchester Toastmasters just had their speech selection the other evening. I, as the Toastmaster of the day and leader of the selection, wrote out our selection that evening and emailed it to my area director as well as the division director. Right, Bob? Yep, it's in your email if you haven't seen it. Okay, so as an area director, you need to make sure that you have that form from each of your clubs, and it needs to be fully filled out. By that, I mean it has to have the phone number and email address of each of the contestants. If it doesn't, you need to go back to that club and make sure they fill it out properly, because that information is very important moving forward through the different levels of the contest. And whoever doesn't fill it out right the first time, everybody afterwards is going to have to go backwards to try and get that information. And it is a pain in the you know what. So if we all fill it out the right way the first time, it will help everyone else along the way. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you have item 1170, which is the judge's certification of eligibility. This is for all the judges as well as the tiebreaker judge. These forms will need to be submitted to the chief judge of that contest. Do not wait until the day of to get these documents. You need to have them ahead of time, especially in a virtual setting. If we were in person, yes, it would, and I see Teresa's nodding her head. Oh yeah. If we were in person, we could just hand them over like we normally would. We can't do that. We want to have those ahead of time. So definitely the night before, contest master, chief judge, and whoever's holding the contest needs to make sure they have all the required documents. It just makes it that much easier. Then the next two forms, item 1183 and 1189, are both items that come from the contestants. And that is the speaker certification of eligibility and originality, as well as the speech contestant profile, completely filled out. Why are these so important? Well, number one, same thing with the judges' eligibility. We have to perform the same process for the contestants, as well as the contest master needs to make sure that every person that has been submitted for the next level for their contest is eligible, and they will run their names through the Toastmasters International eligibility portion on the website. And you can put their names in, or you can put their member number, one of the two. That step must be done before the contest even begins. So once again, you need to have that documentation as soon as possible. So as an area director and even a division director, as soon as you have your notification of contest winners, you need to get on those clubs or area director or division director and say, where are my documents? Who do I need to speak with? Let's get those documents in and get them in now. So that way you can be doing your due diligence up until the contest, and it's done before the day of. You don't want to be doing that all last minute in the evening, right? Because people are going to be nervous, right? You don't want to, oh my gosh, get your paperwork in. All right, start that way ahead of time. This is why I love having a playbook that I've created so that I can track that as the organizer. Okay. And then giving, of course, my chief judge and my contest master access to it. All right. Now, the other important thing here is that contestant profile is super important. Anybody want to tell me why? Anybody? Come off of mute and tell me why you got to have the contestant profile form filled out.
So you have some idea what to ask when it comes time for the contestant's interview.
Ah, excellent. Absolutely. Teresa agrees. Yes. There's nothing worse than being a contest master and having to do the interview portion, and you're like, you don't know what to ask this person. How long have you been a Toastmaster? What have you done? Do you have dogs? I mean, you have no idea what to ask. And it only makes the contest and everything else look awkward. It makes the contestant feel awkward. The whole audience is like, oi, did nobody plan this? What happened? Right? Marvin?
Kathleen, if I may, yes, please ask them how long they've been a Toastmaster, what club they represent, what their shoe size is, all the standard questions. If the ballot counting goes long, or there is an active protest, you need additional information in order to be able to ask reasoned, intelligent questions, if for nothing else, to keep you from staring at each other.
And there's nothing worse than sitting on an online meeting and staring at each other, especially for those that are watching. It's very awkward. Dead space. Everybody gets a little twitchy, a little nervous, right? You want this to flow. You want it to be a show, essentially, right? And you want your show to run smoothly. You don't want to stop and start. You know, think of it like any other Toastmaster meeting where you have a lot of different moving parts. You want to make sure that it all flows nicely together. And that makes it a fun competition for the contestants, as well as the judges and timers and all your volunteers and those that have come to watch.
Kathleen.
Yes, Teresa.
I would like to make a suggestion. It has happened in District 18 and many other districts that I have been a judge or chief judge. Please inform the contest master to make use of the club roster starting from the beginning, because we have gotten all the way up to the area contest and realized that contestants were not in good standing. And it was at a division level.
Absolutely.
times. So it's extremely important that we follow, but all area directors follow behind the contest master to make sure you have access to the club roster. Every contestant is in good standing through this club level. Then we go to the area level, you make sure you're level.
Absolutely. Thank you for adding that, Teresa. Yes, not everyone is eligible to be a contestant. You have to meet certain requirements, like being in good standing, and your club has to be in good standing. What if you as a member have paid, but your club's not in good standing? That knocks you out. And that is really hard for some folks to understand, that it really is a club effort that is pushing the contestants forward and supporting them. And club level is not doing that, there is a problem. And you might need to join a different club. Just throwing that out there. I know Mervin just fell backwards in his chair. Okay. So we have our times, we have our registration, we are moving along, we're getting our judges, we're getting our timers, we're getting our contestants information in, we're checking their eligibility. The contest chair and the chief judge need to establish their process. And yes, I see we have a hand raised. Alberto.
Yes, my question is in regards to recruiting for these positions. I've heard that you cannot recruit from the same area. So I was wondering if you can provide tips on how to recruit from outside where you don't know a lot of people to recruit from outside the areas.
Okay, so first of all, you can
More people.
have people in your area participate.
Oh, for these positions, for chief judge and all these other positions?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I was going
Absolutely.
crazy trying to, because I was like, oh my
Okay.
God, I'm
Yeah, no, they don't all have to be outside your area.
okay.
What helps is having the judges outside of your area. That does help, because and you can see both Teresa and Mervin are like bobbleheads, and their heads are like, it's great. I see both of you going at the same time. It's really funny. It is hard to, when you're an area director and you have, let's say, 3 or 4 areas, and you have contestants from, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I didn't say that right. You're an area director and you have anywhere between 4 to 6 clubs, and you're trying to find judges in the same clubs that people are competing from. And things can get very convoluted in how many judges you have from each of the clubs. And, are they just there to really boast, about their contestant, that sort of thing. You can do away with all of that if you get your judges outside of your area. And the best way to do that is, 1, reach out to the other area directors in your division. 2, reach out to your division director and say, help, who do you know? And then 3, reach out to the trio as well. Who do you know that's in other areas and divisions that can help out? That's how you're going to get the word out there that you need help. You can also put up a little ad on Facebook and say, help, area such and such, we need judges from outside our area. Could you please help? Does that answer your question, Alberto? Does that give you some ideas?
Yes, thank you so much.
Awesome. Yes, Merlin, you have your hand raised.
I was about to say that I had reached out to other area directors offering my service if they need judges for their areas, and I've asked for help. Nobody has responded. I haven't received any response from any of the other area directors within my division that I've reached out to. And because I said, okay, I'm willing to help out if you need, judges for your area. I'm also looking for judges for our area contest, nobody has responded.
Yeah, and what about your division director?
Well, I copy her,
Yeah.
I guess now that you have said all these things, I will reach out to her and see if she knows anyone, but a little disappointing.
Yeah, it is very disappointing. Absolutely. And that is the reality that we live in. And it has always been that way, right?
I would like to make a suggestion.
Yes, Teresa, please.
When the division director doesn't know, and we have new division directors that may not have the whole map. In other words, there is a distinguished activity Excel spreadsheet that's available to the division director where he or she can go and upload that Excel spreadsheet, and it has everyone in the division. However, the district leaders have access to the entire District 18, which they can send whatever area you in and your division, just that section, so we won't be compromising other people's private information, and you will be able to see the ones that are in your division and actually select from that list.
You know what, Teresa, you just gave me a fabulous idea. And let me just write this down really quick, is that, what we can do is do an email blast through Constant Contact and put the dates on it of the different area contests as well as the division contests with the pseudonym email for the area directors and division directors, and say, here are the dates of their contests, here are the times. If you can be a judge, or if you can help in any fashion for the various different roles, please reach out to this person immediately. Our folks need help. And we could do that easily for the district, which would only help everyone.
Outstanding suggestion.
Yeah, what do you
Yes.
think, Ben? Think that'll work? Okay. So let's do that with a schedule. And then that way we can reach everybody, well, everyone who opens their emails, to try and get everybody help. Right. Everybody in the areas help and everyone in the divisions help. So that, I think, would be the best way I think we could do that. Let's see, Mark says he's having the same issue with his area clubs and other area directors. Yeah. And Bob says, I would try contacting the other ADs again, since we are less than a week past the holidays. Yeah, I like to, I'm sorry, but I've been doing stuff for Toastmasters all through the holidays in order to make this happen. And I'm on my email all the time. So I know maybe I should give people a little bit of a break. I get it, but I'm addicted to Toastmasters. What can I say? All right, so great. Thank you for that feedback, guys. Thank you for those suggestions. Teresa, great idea. We're going to make this happen to help everybody out. And hopefully this will, we'll make it uplifting and supportive and shaming that they're not helping each other. The other area directors and division. No, I'm not going to shame anybody, but we can at least do that to try and help everyone. Okay, so your contest master and your contest chair and your chief judge have decided what the process is going to be and the flow of what is going to happen for the contest. And yeah, Aaron, you've just had crickets. Yeah. Totally understandable. I've sent out so many emails, half of my stuff never gets answered. And I just send it again and I say, hey, second reminder, I'm still here. I'm still gonna bug you. Can you help me? Just say yes or no and we're good. One of the things that I want to make sure that everybody understands, because we use a lot of different words for the contests, is that there is a rule. It's number 5, A as an apple, number 9 in the rule book, that says the contest chair can be synonymous with the contest toastmaster. So whichever one you want to call it, it's the same thing. All right. And that is the second most important person next to the chief judge. And that contest chair and that chief judge are going to be working together to make this event happen. Now, some of you, as an area director or division director, can be the contest chair or chief judge for some of these types of contests. All right, but you have to make sure that there's no conflict of interest, that everybody's being represented fairly, and also that you're not breaking any rules, especially if you're running for a deck position for next year. All right, so you got to keep all of these things in mind. And if you're not sure, that's when you need to reach out to your chief judge, Kathy Hebler, and say, hey, I'm doing this, can I do this? All right, that would be the person that has the final say. All right. Once you have all of that set up and you've got your documents in, now you're going to start setting up your timeline. All right, your timeline for your contest. What is that going to look like? What time do you want certain people to log in? I recommend, first and foremost, don't use Microsoft Teams. Don't use any of the other stuff out there. Use Zoom. We know how it works. We can make it work seamlessly for any contest virtually. It is compatible with the timing cards and everything. Once again, if you don't have access to a Zoom account, please contact your division director or the district, because we all have accounts. Ben has one for the district, I have one as PQD, and Tennille has one for Club Growth. And any one of us could be available to help you with that. All right, so don't feel like you're out there all by yourself. All right, for each of the different contests that are going to be held this year, there's a couple of additional items that you need to be aware of. First of all, we're doing table topics this year. Who's responsible for creating the table topics question? Anybody? Mervin, you can't talk. Aaron, go ahead.
The contest chair.
Yes, the contest chair. Excellent. You win the booby prize for tonight. No, I'm just kidding. The contest chair is responsible for coming up with a question. And if you're holding a joint contest, meaning 2 areas or 3 areas or however many, okay, you have to have a different question for each area. You cannot use the same question over 2 or 3 areas. No can do. It's got to be a separate question. And typically you want, it's not an actual rule, but it's a good idea to have it in 10 words or less. You don't want to be giving a diatribe before getting to the question. You don't want to give a story and then give the question. No, it's just a question. All right. And it's very important that it's asked the same way every time. If there's emphasis on a syllabus or a syllabi or a word or an accent or something, do it the same way every single time. That way you won't have any issues with anybody objecting, saying, well, you put emphasis on this word for this person, but not for this person. Boy, you don't want to get into that. Make
Kathleen,
it super simple. Yes, Mervin.
as an example, 3 years ago, I believe Bob was there with us. I was a judge during a table topics contest, and the question was not a question. It was not a sentence. It was a paragraph.
Yeah.
That's not bad, but the presenter changed one word in that paragraph for one contestant. And we have to throw out the entire contest.
Yep.
So it does happen.
Bob, are you
I
getting
was there for that,
flashbacks?
I was there for that, Mervin. I do recall that.
There were some very unhappy people.
Mhm.
not the least of which were the library workers who wanted us to leave.
Right. Well, and that's a very good point, is that when you have issues like that, it extends out the contest. And then people are all like, oh, we got to do that again now. You know, the contestants get, you know, flustered, everybody gets frustrated. So if we all just follow the rules from the beginning, hopefully we can negate a lot of these types of issues.
Mhm.
Now, also with doing the table topics, we also have the evaluation contest this time. And with that is the test speaker. If you're doing a joint contest, you must have multiple test speakers, one for each area. You cannot use the same test speaker and the same speech. You cannot use the same test speaker and a different speech. All right, just have someone else as test speaker. So if it's two areas together, you have two test speakers. And remember, they cannot be running for the deck for the next year, as well as their speech needs to be in the proper format for everyone. Okay. Lastly, recording of the contest is prohibited, right? If a contestant asks to be recorded, the contest chair and the chief judge need to be aware of this, and that particular recording cannot show up anywhere on any site in any way, shape, or form. But the notification has to be given ahead of time, all right? And how and where that actual recording is going to be done. You know, if Sally Mae is going to be, you know, on her camera going like this while someone's speaking, you know, you need to get this cleared by the contest chair and the chief judge before any of that takes place. Okay. All right. So we are up to contest day. We are organized. We have all of our people. Everyone knows how to log in. Everyone has their scripts, and we have lots of scripts. Everyone knows their place, knows what they're doing, and you might have one or two people in the background as backup. Backup for anything. Backup as a judge, backup as a timer, ballot counter, you name it. Somebody inevitably always doesn't show for one reason or another. And I'm sorry to say, we are in the middle of a pandemic still, and virus is taking out people left and right. So you definitely want to keep in contact with your people. Over communicate, right? Over communicate. Pick up the phone, call people, don't just email them. And if you're not getting responses, make sure you get on the phone. Make sure you call the club that they're at. Hey, have you seen Judy Smith? You know, I haven't heard from her and I'm really worried. Does anybody know? Please God, tell me she doesn't have COVID, you know, type situation. And you can simply do that by over communicating. You're not bugging anybody. You're just trying to dot your I's and cross your T's. Okay. So we get to the contest day, right? And everybody is going to have a specific time to log in. First and foremost, you want your Zoom master and their support help, whoever they are, to log in first. You want your chief judge there. You want your contest chair there, your sergeant at arms there, your timers, your ballot counters, and your judges. All there before a single contestant logs in. Okay? Because we do not want everyone to know who the judges are, right? And therefore, the only way to do that is to keep everyone in the waiting room if they're not part of that main group that needs to be briefed. And you can stagger it so that your contestants don't come on until 10 or 15 minutes later. That gives everybody time to get into their secured rooms so nobody knows who they are except for the right people. Make sense? Okay. So now we are going to pretend that we are in the judge's breakout room. And our chief judge for this little exercise is none other than Mr. Mervyn Bierman. And I will play the role of a judge, just a little old judge. All right. And in this breakout room, it's going to be the judges, chief judge, the timers, and the ballot counters. Who's not in this room? Any guess? No, Mervyn, you can't answer. Somebody else has to answer.
Contestant.
Anybody? Do what?
The contestants.
Well, yes, that is correct. The contestants aren't going to be in there. They're not even going to be logged in yet. Nora, who's not in that room?
Tie-breaking judge.
Tie-breaking judge. Exactly. Nora wins the second booby prize for the night. The tiebreaker judge is only known by the chief judge, and they are not briefed with everybody else. And it's a secret. Nobody knows. This person doesn't change their name. They don't do anything different. They just come to the contest, and the chief judge will deal with them completely separate so that nobody else knows who they are. And you never tell anybody else that you're a tie-breaking judge, not even after the contest. It's always a secret. There's no need, and nobody needs to know that. Okay, so we are in the breakout room for the judges, the ballot counters, and the timers. Mr. Chief Judge Mervyn Bierman, what do you say?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Division Z contest for 2019-2020. Our theme this year is better late than never. You are divided into three groups. You are in the voting judges, the timers, and the ballot counters. I would like to address the ballot counter, or I apologize, the voting judges first. Ms. Davis, would you please rename yourself Judge number 3?
Oh,
Judge
but
number 3.
I want to be number 2.
Please rename yourself Judge number 3. The judges' numbers are based on the club you registered from.
Okay.
On your judge's certification. Thank you. On your 1170, you indicated that you are completely qualified. Is there anything on this 1170 that you need to change?
No.
Okay, good. How your ballots will be collected. This is a virtual contest. Please take your ballot, sign and print your name and the bottom 1/3 at the indicated spaces. Please do that now.
Why do I got to do that now?
Because any ballots that we receive at the end of the contest that are illegible or incomplete will be disqualified. They will not be counted.
Well, but how am I going to get you my ballot if I'm online? I don't understand how do I do that?
An excellent question. I'm glad you asked. What will happen is you will complete your ballot. You will tear off the bottom 1/3. You will take a photograph of your signed ballot, and you will send that to the ballot counters. Ballot counter 1 and ballot counter 2. In the event that you're not capable of doing that, something happens, we will accept a text with your selections carefully articulated, 1, 2, and 3, sent directly to the cell phones of the ballot counters, which we'll provide here shortly.
Yeah, I can't email stuff on my phone. So I guess I'll have to text it.
In that case, please retain the bottom 1/3 of your ballot and be prepared to either scan it or mail it back to me for records keeping purposes.
But I don't have your address. I don't know where you live.
In that case, you can scan it and email it to me at your convenience.
I'm sorry, but I don't have a scanner either. And I'm on a tablet. Can I just mail it to you?
The U.S. Postal Service will work, although that is the least preferred method.
Okay, thank you.
Once you've been briefed, you will turn off your camera and you will confirm that there are no pictures displayed, so that the only thing that appears on screen is judge number 3. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, so I stopped my video, you mean?
Mhm.
Okay.
Just like that.
Oh, I guess I don't have a picture up. What happens if I have a picture up?
What an excellent question. In that case, we go with a high-tech answer and do that.
Oh, with like
That is a 3x5
Post-it
that is a 3x5 index card.
okay.
And if I hold it up against the camera, the screen goes dark. Have I answered your questions?
Yes.
Now, as a general point, the tiebreaker judge is not in this briefing room. That person will not be identified. That person will be briefed separately and individually. I would then go on to the timers and ask that the timers rename themselves timer number 1 and timer number 2. The timers should have the virtual color backgrounds from TI already available. These are the backgrounds with the words green, yellow, and red actually printed out. Traditionally, timer number 1 is the one who communicates with the contest master when asked for the timing rules, and timer number 2 runs the lights, or in this case, the backgrounds. If that's not possible, we could discuss that and change roles as needed. The only person the timer gives the timing information to is the chief judge. No one else needs to know. Are there any questions from the timers? Hearing none. The ballot counters will rename themselves ballot counter 1 and ballot counter 2. And for those who dislike typing, I will accept BC1 and BC2.
I have a question, Chief Judge.
Yes.
How do I know which ballot counter is which?
I'm sorry, you are as a judge?
As a judge, yeah. So
As
how
a
do I know?
judge.
How do I know which ballot counter to send my results to?
An excellent question. You will send your results to both ballot counters, as the ballot counters will count their ballots both individually and as a team.
Okay, thank you.
First place receives 3 points. Second place receives 2 points. Third place receives 1 point. The ballot counters will add up their numbers, do the math, determine a winner, and provide that information to the chief judge. The chief judge then transmits that information back to the contest master. When all this is accomplished, you will be released back out into the main room. However, do not rename yourself. Do not rename yourself, but retain the judge number 3 label. The reason for that is in the event of a protest or an objection, I need to be able to recall you into the breakout room to discuss the objection or the protest. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chief Judge, when
Yes.
the contest is over, can I come back on my screen and congratulate everyone?
When the contest is completely over, no.
Oh,
Oh,
can I tell anyone that I was a judge and that I voted for them?
I would recommend strongly against that because you want the opportunity to be a judge again. And I want to thank you for not coming into the main room and broadcasting to everyone that you were going to be a judge and where's the briefing room. Thank you for not doing that. As some of the more senior Toastmasters on this call have seen done.
Thank you, sir.
Wait, don't start yet. I'm supposed to be a judge. Yeah, that went over very poorly. So thank you. And now back to the main room.
Okay, so that was just an example of what the chief judge is going to run through in the breakout room for the judges, timers, and ballot counters briefing. Okay, as Mervyn was talking, I put on the shared screen the briefing scripts that you see, and I was trying to pop up as many of them as I could. We have a briefing script for everything. All right, so there's no question what you need to say. You can add additional rules in there if you want, but these are all available to you on the shared drive under the folder scripts. Now, sometimes we have to massage some of the scripts, or something comes up and somebody says, hey, we forgot this, this, and this. That's absolutely normal. None of us are perfect. So if you see something like that, or you see something that needs to be adjusted, please let me know, and I will make sure that that script gets updated as quickly as possible. Okay, so we've had our judges come in, our timers come in, our sergeant at arms, and our ballot counters, right? And we've done the breakout room for the judges, all right? And the timers and the ballot counters. Now the contestants are coming in, right? And then the contestants, when they come in, the Zoom master and whoever is helping to support that and co-host, they get shuttled over into the contestants breakout room right away, right? You don't let them sit there in the main room and muddle around and whatnot. Nope, just get them over into the contestants breakout room and they can just sit there until the contest chair is ready to brief them. All right, so if you think of, if you're starting a contest at, let's say, 9 a.m., then you want your judges, your ballot counters, your timers, Zoom master, contest chair, chief judge, you want all those folks to log in 40 minutes ahead of time. You can then have your contestants log in 30 minutes ahead of time. And that way you have a 10-minute gap to shuttle people off to their rooms without the contestants seeing all the judges and everyone else. All right, so you scatter their time. Once the contestants come in and they go to their breakout room and all the contestants are there, the contestant chair is then going to brief the contestants. Guess what? We have scripts for that too. Isn't that great? We've thought of everything. At least we've tried to anyways. So on the share drive, under everything that we just did right there was under Chief Judge. Under the scripts, under Contest Master, we have the scripts for the contest chair throughout the whole contest, plus the briefing scripts, right? And there are 3 briefing scripts, 1 for each contest. And you don't have to repeat over everything because some of them are the same. But there are some differences, obviously, because we have 3 different types of contests. And Ben, could you put the link back up? Oh, thank you, Alberto. That's great. For Irina. All right, wonderful. This evening, we were going to have Kathy go over the briefing for the contestants. I'm going to briefly go through that in lieu of her not being here, just to give you an idea of what the contest chair is going to talk to the contestants about. Okay, now here you can see the briefing is up. Of course, the contest chair needs to make sure that they have the eligibility forms of all the speakers, as well as their profile form ahead of the contest, right? So if I'm going to be the contest chair for this contest, and the contest is on a Saturday, I am going to be making sure that I have all of my documents in place by Friday, the night before, okay? Once I have everybody in the room, I'm going to try and get them to relax, breathe, calm down, don't worry, we've got this, we're going to get you through this, okay? Because remember, some of these folks, this is their first time, and it's their first time doing it virtually too, right? Maybe they're great in person, but virtually they just don't know what to do. I'm going to help them through that. Right? I'm going to walk them through the process of what we're going to see and what we're going to do. Okay. First, I'm going to make sure that all of my people are there for each one of my contests. If the person who took first and second place, let's say if we were going from club to area, which was allowed, if the first and second place person is there, great. If they weren't, and let's say the third place person was there, they can be briefed. However, if the second place person gets there by the time the contest starts, we can still continue and the first and second place person may compete. Okay, but that's one of those just in case situations. Yes, Nora, I saw your message and you're absolutely right. It's not up there. I didn't copy it over yet. So I will make sure that gets over there. One of the contest scripts is, briefing scripts is missing, is what Nora was letting me know. I'm going to, as the contest chair, I'm going to make sure, first and foremost, I know how to pronounce everybody's name and pronounce it properly. And I'm going to sit there and embarrass myself until I announce it properly, right? And make my notes as to how I need to say it so as not to embarrass anyone and embarrass myself, essentially. I'm also going to make sure that I also know how to say their speech title. Sometimes on these forms that come over from club, area, or division, things are not written out correctly, or something gets changed along the way, something gets added or changed to the title. I want to make sure I have it down absolutely perfect for what that person wants. Yes, Jay, you have a question. You had your hand raised.
I believe that you keep using the term contest chair when you mean contest master. This goes
Same
back
thing.
when we were discussing even who comes up with the question. It's confusing the heck out of me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Absolutely the
And
same
they're
person.
different. The contest chair is the person behind the scenes organizing the contest, I believe, because I've done that. And I've also been the contest master, and that's like the MC of each individual contest.
They can be the same person,
I'm
or
sure
they
they
can
can
be two
be.
separate people. So yes, you can have a contest chair who is running behind the scenes. You're absolutely correct. And then have a contest master as well as your chief judge. And your
Well,
contest
then-
master or your contest toastmaster, okay, same thing, it's going to walk you through the day. Or your contest chair and your contest master can be the same person.
You know,
It just
each
depends on the
contest,
level.
does each contest get its own contest master? So I've been the humor speech contest master, for example.
Uh-huh.
So does each contest have its own master? Could have its own master.
And they could be three different people, or they could be the same people.
And if it's
Person.
joint with two areas, you could have 6 of them in theory.
If you wanted that many to do each and every contest separately, yes.
And back to the table topics one, the table topic master chooses the question. Yes.
Yes. That is
Thank
correct.
you.
Yep, no problem. I know it's a lot of words and easily can be confused and crisscrossed depending upon the size of your contest. Sometimes you can't always find individual people to do separate roles and have all these different breaks out. Sometimes one person is doing 2 different positions. So for a contest chair and a contest master, that can happen. That happens all the time. Okay, so I'm now briefing the contestants. I'm going to make sure that I have all of my ducks in a row. I know how to pronounce their name properly. I know how to pronounce the title, if there is a title. Obviously, for the table topics, the title is the question. Okay, so there's nothing for me to memorize there or have written down outside of the fact I already know the question. As well as for the evaluation, there is no title, right? Because they have a test speaker. They are evaluating the test speaker. So there is no title for that part of the competition. I'm then going to draw for speaking order. Now, I might use a random number generator on my computer. I might use pick 'em up sticks. I might say pick a number between 1 and 10, and there's another number behind that. However you choose to do it is fine, but you need to make it fair and equitable across the board. And you need to do it separately for each and every contest. So if you have a joint contest, right, you've got to do it 6 times. Once for each competition under each area. All right, because each one is considered separate. Then you're also going to go through the requirements for the speakers, whether they are going to be able to stay in the room to speak, like with the international speech contest, or whether for table topics, they all have to go into a breakout room and then are coming back in one by one to then receive the table topics question. Or if under evaluation contests, they all go off to a room, they get 5 minutes to finish their notes. Then they have to put their notes down. And then they will be called back into the room in their speaking order. Now, who's going to help make sure that all of this happens and flows properly? The sergeant at arms. And the sergeant at arms is always going to go with the contestants in the breakout room. Also, you want a good sergeant at arms. You don't want a limp fish. And by that, I mean, you want someone who's going to bring comfort, and engage with the contestants. One of the reasons this is so important, especially during a virtual contest for things like table topics and evaluations, is the requirement is from TI that you are on your camera in the breakout room, you are on your mic, there is no playing with digital devices. Mervyn Bierman is showing you exactly what not to do. The sergeant at arms has to be able to see you from waist up on camera with your hands in the picture. That is a requirement for the virtual contest. If you go off camera, you will be disqualified. It's simple. If you get on your electronic device, you will be disqualified, plain and simple. If somebody calls you and you are like, oh, I have to take this call. Yeah, no, you do not. You're in the middle of a contest unless your house is burning down and your computer has blown up. You are there to be in the contest, so be there. And make sure that each and every one of your contestants understands that. They have to be on camera and they have to be on their mics while they're sitting there during both of those contests in the breakout room. Okay, any questions about that? It's very clear what needs to be done. And you need to make sure as the chair that you are informing each and every one of them of this. They are not allowed to take a break and go to the bathroom unless, like I said, it's 110% an emergency. Just like as in person, you're not allowed to go anywhere. You have to sit there. You look at the wall, you look at each other, you know, hopefully a good sergeant at arms is going to help engage with everyone, maybe crack some jokes, make people feel comfortable, okay? But to ensure that there is no unfair advantage for one contestant over another. All right. The chair is also going to talk about the contest space in which the contestants are going to compete, which is their tiny little block, right? Well, contestants are allowed to stand up if they choose. They are also allowed to sit down. Does that mean that that is going to win you points with the judges over another? It's possible, all right? Not everyone has the same capabilities of lighting, mics, cameras, things of that nature. So the judges are asked to take that into consideration. But I can tell you that most judges are going to look at if, you know, you're standing up versus sitting, whether, you know, you have props or don't, whether you're dressed accordingly. Do you have something pretty bright and, you know, audacious on that, you know, creates blurs, things of that nature? Most judges are going to count down for that, I would think, regardless of the substance of what's in your speech or your response or your evaluation. All right, so just something to consider to remind folks of that, that if they go out of the area of their camera, they're going out of their speaking area, and that could potentially count against them. Okay. The chair is also going to go over the timing requirements, making sure that everybody understands that when they're introduced, that before they go into calling that person's name and so on, that they're going to ask that person to say their name so that we make sure that the mic is working. The chair is going to ask them to pin the timer. Then the chair can then go into introducing the speaker by giving their name, the title of their speech, and the name. If it's table topics, it's their name, the question, their name. If it's the evaluation contest, it's their name, and then they continue. Also, we make sure that the contestants know when they enter the room, if they're in the breakout room and they are the next speaker to come in, not to immediately turn on your mic and go, hey, I'm here. No. There is a minute of silence after every speaker and every competition so that the judges have a chance to finish their ballots. That means that the next speaker that is allowed in does not say anything until the contest chair says, please turn on your mic and pronounce your name so we know that your mic is working. Right? These are little nitty-gritty steps, but they ensure a smooth contest. These are little things that make a difference. And then as the contest chair, you want to stick to the script and not ad lib. Don't say, oh, Judy, yeah, great, good. Here you go, girl. Come on, let's get, and then go into asking them their name and all that good stuff. No, you want to keep it straight and specific, short and to the point. Don't give them all the warm fuzzies and all that good stuff. All right, stick to the script. It really helps to have a smooth competition. You also want to make sure that the contestants don't have like their DTM badges on or anything like that. That's more of an issue when people are in person, but sometimes contestants like to put their name badge on when competing. That's a no-no. You need to take those off. None of those can be worn. You want to make sure that your contestants know how to control their own audio and video, and even potentially give them a chance to practice that before the contest. We do have some Toastmasters who are not as well versed on Zoom as others. And we want to give them a chance to be able to compete. So please offer them the chance to do maybe a dry run, a couple days before or a week before. But when you do that, you have to make sure that all the contestants are offered that, not just one, because that can be seen as an unfair advantage. Okay. Any questions about the briefing before I add one last golden nugget in here? Okay, so one thing that did happen last year, and not everybody was involved in that, but wanted to make sure you all were aware of this, especially in the online portion of a contest. A contestant came on, they were on their camera for the contestant briefing. They went off their camera, and this happened during table topics. They went off their camera in the breakout room and disappeared. And I do mean literally disappeared. They were not there. They were not there in their own room next to their computer. They came back and we had dropped them out of the contest because their turn came up. They were given 3 chances to come back on their camera. They never responded. They never did anything. So we dropped them out of Zoom because they were disqualified immediately. That's another reason why being in a breakout room and having a sergeant at arms there is so very important. It's just like being in person at a contest. And let me tell you, in person at a contest, for those of you who don't know, that sergeant at arms is at that door. And you try and get out and go potty, sit back down. Unless it's trickling down your leg and there's an emergency, you're not getting out that door. And the same thing counts for a breakout room, right? Same type of thing. For evaluations, contests, and table topics, you are all sequestered in the same area. You can't talk about what you're doing. You can't be on your phone. You can't be running off to the bathroom. No, you're present as a contestant the whole time until your contest is over. Contestants need to understand this very clearly, even in the virtual environment. And I believe towards that end, that's partly why things of that nature have happened, hence why TI came out with their requirements for being in the breakout room, which is why the sergeant at arms is so important. Okay, any questions about the briefing for the contestants? Awesome. I can see everybody feels really comfortable with this. Either than that, or everybody just really needs a drink very badly. No? Yes? Okay. All right. So we have briefed our judges, we've briefed our timers, we've briefed the ballot counters, we are briefing the sergeant at arms, we're briefing the contestants. Now everybody comes back into the main room. Some people you see, some people you don't, because some things have, you know, judge, or some things say timer or ballot counter, so on and so forth. But the contest is going to begin. All right. And at that point, the contestants can be on their camera, right? So can those that are watching the contest, except for the judges. The judges are not going to be on their camera at all at any given time, but everybody else can be. And the contest starts, and please God, I hope it starts on time because there's nothing worse than anything starting late, right? We are Toastmasters. And we have a script for the contest chair as well. And the script goes through every step of the process from beginning to end of the contest. Now, one thing I did forget, which I want to throw back out there as well, as the contest chair, you also need to remind your contestants how they can lodge an objection, how they can reach out to you as the contest chair, or whoever your contest chair is, or the chief judge. Those are the only two people. All right. And you need to make sure that they understand very clearly, if there is an issue, how to reach out to both of those people. There's a couple of ways you can do that. The person can send a private chat to the contest chair or the chief judge. Or if you all are willing to share phone numbers, you can text the chief judge or the contest chair. Just depends on what you're willing to work out for everyone. But you need to make sure that everybody understands what that process is in case they need to. All right. Okay. Any questions about the briefings before we get into starting the contest? I know that's a lot of work, isn't it? There's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. Okay, let's just take a quick peek at one of the scripts for the contest. We'll look at the international speech script for the contest chair. Now, once again, download this. Feel free to use it. Feel free to move some things around. Just remember, be careful when you do that, because this is set up to flow very nicely. All right, the contest chair is responsible for keeping this moving, this entire contest, keeping everybody engaged and on target as to what's being done. These scripts were used last year at the district conference, and we were able to make each one of the contests flow without any problems. Okay. So in the contest script here, the one we're looking at is the international speech script. And it basically has the sergeant at arms gaveling in to open the contest and introducing the contest chair or contest master. I know we keep switching words on Jay. Sorry, Jay, not trying to confuse you. The chair is going to go through some instructions for everyone. They're going to talk about what the contest is about, right? So each one's a little bit different. Making sure that everybody understands what the rules are for that particular contest. Then they are also going to make sure that everyone knows the order of the contestants, and they will go through that twice to make sure that everybody can mark their agendas. And very important, obviously, for the judges to have the order so that they know who they're judging properly. All right, and there's lots of fill it in spots here and stuff that you can add this information in for yourself. Then going into the detailed rules that comes directly from the contest handbook, all right, verbatim. We didn't ad lib, we didn't add anything in. It's directly from the book. Then you're going to have your first timer who's going to read the instructions for the timing, while the second timer goes through the green, the yellow, and the red so that everyone can see the different colors for the timing cards, as well as making sure that you use the correct timing cards that also say the name of the color spelled out. We do have contestants in this district who need additional help when it comes to timing cards. And as the chair, you need to make sure you know who those people are, especially if they need special assistance. Okay. Then the chief judge is going to let everybody know that everybody has been briefed and that the contest may begin. That's Mervin's favorite part, when he gets to say, let the contest begin. Then the chair is going to introduce the first contestant, and he's going, or he or she is going to then introduce each one the same way every single time. So if it's the international contest, it is contestant number one, their name, speech title, and then their name. Let's see, Mervin says, no, the judges' ballots must have a complete name for the contestants, not just John or Mary. And the woman in the green dress is also not acceptable. That's lovely. Thank you, Mervin, for adding that in. After each contestant, there is 1 minute of silence, and the contest chair is going to state that. Everyone, please stay silent for 1 minute so the judges have a moment to mark their ballots. The timer is going to let the chair know when that minute has expired, and then the chair will then introduce the second contestant. And you need to say it the same way each and every time. Don't ad lib, just use the script, stick to the same words. That way you don't get into trouble, right? Just like when we practice table topics and we and we throw something in there. Yeah, we don't want to do that here because that can cause an issue. All right, once all the contestants have gone, then after the last contestant has gone, there is silence in the room until the ballots have been collected. And the chief judge will let the chair know when that is. And then the chief judge, as well as the ballot counters, will go to the breakout room. That's when the interview takes place. And everybody can come back on their cameras, and the chair is then going to interview each and every contestant. And they're going to use those profile forms to be able to do that. Now, this is where it gets tricky because you don't know if there's an issue with the chief judge. So the chief judge is going to keep talking to the chair, and I suggest you share phone numbers so you can text each other. That way the chief judge doesn't have to keep popping in and out of the breakout room, right? To make sure that there's no objections, to make sure that the chief judge has the timing record from the timers as well. And the ballot counters are then going through their numbers separately and then together, and then giving the results to the chief judge. And then the chief judge just decides whether they need the tiebreaker judge. And they will handle that all behind the scenes. And the chair has to keep stretching in the interview process until all of that's done behind the scenes. So that's what makes these forms so important. So you have the tools in order to do that. Once the chief judge comes back with the ballot counters, everything is excellent. We have totals, we have winners. Then you have a choice, all right? And here's where the choice comes in. You can conclude this particular contest and give the announcement of the winners at the end of all 3 contests being completed. You can do that. You don't have to necessarily give the results right then and there and then gavel out, finish that contest and go on to the next one. You don't have to do that. You can say that the winners of the contest will be announced at the end of all 3 contests. And then you can go on to your next contest. Once winners are announced, those results are final. No objections, no comments, no whatever can be brought up at that time. It is done and final. That's it. Anytime before that, yes, you can lodge an objection to the chair or the chief judge. But once the results are read, it is final. Now, one thing to be aware of if you're doing a joint contest, it gets a little tricky because you have to close the contest, one contest for one area, then do the next contest for either the next area or your next contest for the same area, whichever, but each one has to be open and closed because they're 3 separate contests for different areas. And you don't want it co-mingled. All right. So you get to the end, lots of kudos, lots of clapping, everybody's happy. The chief judge still needs to fill out the notification of winners to go to the next level. So if they don't have the proper paperwork or it's not filled out from the beginning, they start running into problems at the end. And hopefully they'll nip that in the bud in the beginning and say, you know, I need this completely filled out. Once everything is concluded and the chief judge has notified the next level as to what is going to take place, the meeting has been gavelled out, everybody's good, they've strewn to the 4 winds. Judges need to make sure that they destroy their ballots. Get a shredder, get a lighter, fire it up, whatever you gotta do. All right, you need to make sure you destroy those ballots. It's more of an issue when you're in person and other people potentially going into the trash and getting ballots out and things of that nature. But you do need to keep a record of it. And the chief judge also needs to keep a record of it, that the folks were picked in which order they were picked in. But any other documentation you can go ahead and destroy at that point. And then as area and division leaders, you want to remember to promote the pictures of your winners, right? Even if it's, let's get all 3 of my winners, you know, on the screen and we get a picture of them first, second, and third, whatever. Promote your winners, right? This is where we need to really support our members. They worked hard to get to this point. And at each level of the game, they're working to get to the top. We need to promote that. And we can still do that virtually. You can have some fun with it. Think outside the box how you want to do that. Post it on Facebook, you know, or, you know, give it to the district and let us put a montage together and post it or something of that nature. But we do want to boast about their accomplishments. And like I said, if you can, especially at the area level, if you can send them the certificate, or even if you can hurry up and fill out the certificate, you know, and be able to show that on your screen, that's also great. Really make it super special. Just because we're in a virtual environment doesn't mean you can't add all those little niceties, if you will. You know, have a nice agenda. Make sure everybody has that ahead of time. Have Some areas and even clubs have done, like a PowerPoint with the different slides for the different contests, as well as boasting about what's going on in their area. During the 1 minute of silence, they had this scrolling thing in the background. That was really neat. No volume, nothing was said. It was just visual, and it was very nice to the participants. And then, of course, the announcements are made at the end of when the next level date is for the next competition for those winners, so that they're all aware of what's coming next. And then obviously, if the first place person cannot be there, second place can step in. But it also depends on the size of your area and the division and what's allowed by our district notification of winners moving to the next level. But definitely promote your people. Kudos to the winners, all the volunteers, thanking all the volunteers in every which way possible, and really making it a nice show, if you will, for everyone who's involved. All right, so that's it for everything from beginning to end of holding a contest, whether it's at the club, area, division level, because that's what we're going to do at the district level, and we know it works. Any questions? Any thoughts? Oh, Nora's right there on it. Give me up there. All right, Nora, what you got?
So when we want to announce all the winners at the end of all the contests, we would state that, but we still gavel the contest closed
Yes.
for that particular one?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So that way it keeps each one succinct and specific to itself. Janet, let's see. Janet says, please talk about the selection method you were referring to at the beginning of this session. Yes, Janet. So many clubs don't have enough people to hold an official contest at the club level. This is the only level where selection can be done. So what people will do for the clubs is they will let everyone know that they're going to have a club selection. Anybody who wants to participate can participate. You can do round robin evaluations. You can do specific evaluations if you want, but each person who wants to participate can. And then collectively, you can vote, whoever's in the meeting there, as to your top person or top two, depending upon how many clubs are in an area and so on, as to who you're going to select to go to the next level. You can do that and then fill out your notification of contest winner at that point as to who you're selecting to move to the next level. Does that answer your question, Janet?
Yes, and if you could further discuss, I'm seeing the information that if there's only 4 clubs in an area, you can send 2 people forward. How do you recommend finding those 2 contestants for each contest?
Well, that depends upon the members in your club. So obviously, if you have a smaller club, it's a little bit more difficult because not everybody wants to compete. And you don't always have to send 2 people forward. Your club might not be big enough for that. But you can ask your members if those who would like to participate and try to definitely go and give it a shot. I know Nora did that in one of her clubs, and a couple of people who were not far along into Toastmasters themselves, they were eligible to compete for some things, and they gave it a try. Now, they might not have done the best, but that's okay. It gave them a little flavor as to what the competition is about. So it just really depends on the size of your club and your club members and their interest in competing.
So would the club still submit one selection form with maybe
Yes.
3 names on it, and then 2 of those people would go on and go to the area contest if they were interested?
At the first and second level, but you need to ask them first before submitting that form.
Uh-huh.
You don't just want to, say, Joe, Jim, and Janet, we're gonna put you forward, and Joe and Jim are like, oh, we're not doing anything, and your third person is like, I'll do it. You want to talk to them ahead of time. There's a way to approach that with them, to say, hey, we think you're doing great at X. We see this potential in you. Would you like to try and do this? We would like to nominate you essentially to move forward to the next level, which would be at the area level. We'll come and support you, and so on and so forth, and get their buy-in before you do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yep,
Kathleen,
absolutely. Mervin?
Anne Marie has a question about a selection and contest winner moving on to the next level. A combination.
Okay, so no, you can't have a combination. It's one or the other. So you either hold a club contest or you hold a club selection. You cannot combine the two. Does that make sense? Anne Marie, were you good with that? I don't think we can quite hear you. So if you need to text in the chat box, if that isn't clear, but you have to, it's one or the other. It's not both. All right, well, Anne Marie's working on that piece. Anybody else have any questions? Are you completely freaked out, overwhelmed, scared to death? What's going to happen? Oh no, is this going to even be possible? Exhaustion?
I have a question.
Oh Lord, no. Okay. Give it to me, Ben. What you got?
So what if we have a selection and we select someone to be an international contestant and a table topics contestant? Is that permitted?
Yes. A person can go into multiple competitions coming from their club. And those competitions will continue up all the way to districts. The only contest that goes beyond district is the international speech contest. Did that answer your question, Mr. Benjamin? Awesome. And Mark says, I'm sure I'll have numerous questions later, but this has been a great presentation. Awesome, Mark. I'm glad you were able to get so much out of it. As a reminder, we are all available to you. The trio is available to you. The chief judge is available to you. There are questions that get asked all the time on Slack. If you're on Slack and talking, if you have questions there, Kathy Heebler is connected on that as well. And of course, the trio is always here to help support you in all of your endeavors. Hold on just one second, Nora. So Anne Marie says we have 1 contestant for the speech and 2 for the evaluation. Could the speech contestant go to the other level? I don't think I understand the question.
I think I do. We have a kind of similar situation in our club where we have 2 contests, the evaluation and the humor, that have multiple contestants in each, but we only have 1 person entering the international speech. So what we've done in our club, hopefully correctly, is we are holding formal portions for our humor or our evaluation and our table topics. Then we're closing down our contest and we're having our speech contestant, who will be advancing for our international speech, give the speech to the club, just not in an official contest format.
Yes. So, and in that respect, yes, that is perfectly okay. Yes. So it's almost like you're doing a speech selection for the international speech contest, but then for the evaluation contest and the table topics contest, you're holding that officially. So yes, in that respect, yes, that sort of combining, that would be okay. You know, if
I hope I wasn't speaking for Anne Marie on that if she meant something different, but that's what I assumed she meant because we have a similar situation in another club.
yeah, no, that sounds about right. And that would make sense kind of in what she was saying. Hopefully, Anne Marie, that answered your question. Nora, you had a question, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll just ask it for the benefit of others. So there are some folks who are in multiple clubs that happen to be in different areas. So they can only compete in a contest of one type in a given area. So they can't say, okay, I'm going to compete in international speech in one area and say I lose. No, I'll compete in the other area. They can't do that, but they could compete in different contests in different areas. So they could do international speech in one area and table topics in another, correct?
So this is where I'm not 100% on point. Mervyn, I would yield to you for this. Teresa was saying thumbs up, but
I believe Nora is 102% correct. I can compete in the international in area 97, table topics in area 98, and humorous in area 99, and probably lose all 3 times.
Oh, anything's possible.
Have I addressed your question, Nora?
I think it was more of a really kind of a statement there as to some of the different things that you can do. And just for everyone's clarification, so Aaron's response to what Anne Marie was saying was spot on. That's exactly what Anne Marie was looking for. So thank you for bringing that up, both Anne Marie and Aaron. That's a really good situation for everybody else to also learn from, in case that happens in your clubs or in your situations. So all right, so this does not stop us in the discussions. Please feel free, like I said, if you're also on Slack, join those discussions as we continue up the different levels each month. We are all available to you, especially the trio. We want to make sure that everything works as seamlessly as possible. And of course, the trio is available for some things, but not all things, because we have training coming up too, just as well as the TLIs and so on and so forth. So, but we will certainly do what we can for each and every one of you in any way that we can. And I will work on that constant contact idea. Thank you so much, Teresa, for adding to that. Fantastic. And yes, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Don't forget, your other area directors, your division directors are all here to help support you as well. And we'll see if we can't help you guys get some volunteers. So with that, I close for this evening. And don't forget, everything you should need, and if you don't see it there, let me know, is in that shared drive. So help yourself. Okay, have a good evening. Thank you all so much for being here.